It's Roger. It's wonderful to see you again. You've had a lot of success in this city as a player. Look forward to watching you coach on the sidelines this year. Coach Powell, if you could get us started with an opening statement.
Yeah, it's funny you talked about success here. I remember I was telling the guys yesterday playing in the Final Four here and against Louisville, and then on to the national championship game. And there's so many memories that I think are going through my mind. Being in Missouri Valley, the first game I ever went to when I was a young boy was to see Bradley play a college basketball game, and just thinking about my dad, being an All-American at Illinois State and growing up going to all those games, and now, coming back to Valpo and being a part of Missouri Valley, being a head coach here, is pretty special for me. And I'm really excited to build this team and grow and for me, to kind of create a pretty cool story with the youth we have and the culture we've been able to build. It's interesting, being, picked last in the league, and the last 4 years I've been first. So I think having that edge and having that fight and passion with these guys and having a chip on our shoulder is something that we're building, and I'm excited to get started. And this is the start of something special. As long as none of my players get injured walking up the stairs.
Okay, we've been joined by the Beacon student athletes. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. We'll start here in the front row in St. Louis.
Roger, you mentioned being picked to finish last. You're the Rev. The resurrection is a biblical story, obviously. Can this be a resurrection? Is there another biblical story, parable, or anything that you're pointing to, thinking about as you look at this team and this journey you guys are about to go on?
You just asked the preacher if there's another biblical reference. I got a lot of them. But I think if I had to point to one, it's like all things are possible. And I think the biggest thing that I can do, and part of my calling as a preacher, is to give people belief and to encourage them to believe in something bigger than themselves. And I think we have a story where these young men believe. So now it's time for us to put that on display and make others believe. And, I've been talking about this concept of see the light, like what it means to be a beacon. And I think this just gives us an opportunity to shine a light, man, with the fight and the passion and desire of these guys and the grit of these guys. I think it's going to be a fun story. So I don't want to go through all the biblical references because it'd be too many, and I'm a black preacher, so I could be long-winded.
Roger, obviously, you're stepping into a head coaching role after being an assistant for a while. Can you just talk about what has been the biggest adjustment that you've kind of seen, in this new kind of position? It's pretty. It hasn't really been a huge adjustment. I think I took my time. I've had opportunities, and I really waited until I felt like I was ready, until I felt like I had an identity. So for me, it's just been excitement. Being able to do the things that over the last couple years when I started getting some head coaching opportunities that I've thought about, prayed about. And it's been really fun doing it. It's been fun, being able to lead a staff, mentoring my staff, not just my staff, mentoring these young men, and being right back where it started. I'm really comfortable with that. I've been in the Arc when it was packed, and we've won championships. We've cut down nets. Now, it wasn't in the Missouri Valley. It was in the Horizon League. So I'm kind of fired up to be the first team, with the men's basketball team and do that here with Valpo. So, it's the adjustment is gone now. It's time to get to work. And I didn't have any time to kind of sit and think about that because I had to sign a lot of players in a very short time.
For the players, you guys are picked to finish last. Just how do you use that? What do you think about that? Just your thoughts on any of that.
We use that to fuel ourselves in practice and just how we go about our lives daily. We talked about each other having a big chip on our shoulder using that fuel, like you said, pick to finish last. It's nothing but, fire we use in practice and stuff like that. And to have a big chip on your shoulder, I feel like that's kind of going to be our mentality for this year. And we're going to play with a lot of heart and shock a lot of people. So,
Coach, Hunter Tickle, Tribune Star in Terre Haute. I want to hear a little bit of perspective on like some of your international ties for recruiting and what that looked like, if that was part of this process for filling out this roster, and just being from the West Coast. I'm sure that kind of curtails over to Europe a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you remember kind of Valpo and Gonzaga back in the day were two of the programs that kind of started that. When Scott Drew was here, and as an assistant, I recruited internationally a lot with Bryce. It's been something that I think is a major resource for me. I played in 5 different countries, and then being at Gonzaga and being on the staff with Tommy Lloyd, and just all the connections that I've been able to build from playing, from the guys that I've played with, guys I've coached with, and the programs that I've been a part of. And then also we hired Lou Bosch-Barton, who, for us is awesome, because some of these international kids we can bring in, he can speak to his experience at Valpo and being a player who led Valpo to multiple NCAA tournaments. So there's so many connections, and it's definitely going to be a part of, our recruiting.
Coach, you've mentioned that you guys got picked last in the preseason poll. By my quick count, you guys also are the only team that didn't have a player on the preseason All-Missouri Valley teams. What's your response to that? And, apparently, what's your response to being the only team that didn't have a player picked in the All-Missouri Valley preseason teams?
I absolutely love it. And I think, like Darius said, anything that you can create a chip with is valuable for our team. And, I think we have some players that people are going to be surprised when they see them compete this year. We got a lot of young guys that I think are going to be special. So, hey, this is a blank slate. This is a great opportunity for a story. And like P.O. said, I'm a preacher, so I like telling stories. Now it's time to write one.
Isaiah, obviously you've been a couple different places now, Southern Indiana, John A. Logan, now Valpo. Can you just kind of talk about how you've seen yourself kind of grow as a player at those different stops, and what that's kind of done for you now going into Valparaiso?
The other places I've been at, they have taught me some experience, leadership qualities that I feel like that I didn't have coming right out of high school. So I feel like to this team I could help bring some of my experience and how to maintain and manage games later down in the stretch, and help our younger core following my steps a little bit.
Coach, being back in the Midwest, is this sort of a homecoming for you? Do you look at it that way?
Absolutely. I can get home a lot quicker, too. Joliet's a little bit quicker trip than coming from Spokane. So, yeah, definitely. And, being a part of Bryce Drew's staff when he took over for his dad, his first head coaching job was my first assistant coaching job. So there's so many homecoming parallels, and it's just comfortable to be back in the Midwest. I've recruited heavily here every stop I've been. So, yeah, I'm home.
Coach Powell, Kevin Lehman with the Valley Television. What style of play should we look for at the offensive end and the defensive end from your teams this year?
So I'll start with defense, because everyone says defense wins championships, right? We're going to be gritty, and we're going to really try to pressure. We have some quick guards, so we're going to really try to, put a lot of pressure on the ball with our man-to-man defense. From an offensive standpoint, we're going to try to play with pace. That was something that I picked up from my 4 years with Mark Few. Prior to going there, I had an idea how I wanted to play offense, but being with him for the last 4 years and being a part of that offense and learning it and then helping teach it, I really kind of found my identity as a coach. And so that's kind of style we're going to try to play. And I'm going to tweak it a little bit with some things I like and some things I, picked up over the years from Bryce and other guys that I've coached with and played for. So that's going to be our identity. We're going to try to play gritty defense, and we're going to try to play with some pace on the offensive end.
Our next 2 questions are going to come from Zoom. Mallory?
Oh, hey, sorry. It's Chris McKee, undraftedfreeagent.com up here in Toronto. Coach, I followed the career of Jahari Williamson up here in Canada, and this is a guy that the previous staff recruited. Just want to talk about, what role you see him playing and what you've been impressed with so far since you've taken over.
Yeah, Jahari is going to be a special young player. When I took the job, I wanted to get there and see him and evaluate the guys that, we brought in. And, he stood out, his character, who he is, his faith. He really embodies everything, I want in a young guard. And, he's had a great summer. I think he's a dynamic scorer, and he's learning how to run a team. And I think having Darius and Isaiah, some older guards, to kind of help him transition to college basketball is going to be huge for him. But, he's someone who I think over the years you're going to hear his name, and I think he's going to make a name for himself this year.
We have a second question coming from Zoom.
Good morning, Coach. John Teitel from hoopshd.com. You talked about homecoming parallels, and I noticed that 1 month from today is your opening road game as a head coach in Champaign. Part of me thinks it's just another game on the schedule, but part of me thinks that to have your first game as head coach at your alma mater is like a really big deal. So any thoughts on how it's going to be feeling for you?
It's gonna be pretty cool. I haven't seen the State Farm Center since they've done the major renovation, so this has been my first time seeing that. I've been trying to go over there and see it, so why not go play them in it? But I was talking to Deion Thomas the other day, and they're having this this game with Coach Self and Kansas. It's an exhibition game, and they invited me back, and I was like, I don't know if Brad wants me to come back because we play him. 3 weeks later. So very well connected with that program, super excited. There's going to be a lot of emotions that are going to run through my mind and my heart as I step foot. But, I'm going there to try to win a game. And, I hope the fans aren't too hard on me because, I hope they still love me a little bit. But we're coming to compete. And it's pretty cool. I don't think there's been a former player who has been a head coach on the sidelines in Assembly Hall or the State Farm Center. So I think this is going to be a first, and I'm pretty excited to be a part of that.
Our next question's here in St. Louis.
For Connor and Jerome, Tucker DeVries is here, Bowen Bourne's here. These are guys that are top guys on the scouting report last year when you would play them. And now you guys are returning. You guys were not the top guys on the scouting report last year. Just your thoughts on being here and coming back this year and still being with Valpo and what it means to have elevated roles this year.
I think that, for the both of us, I think it's a great opportunity. The way things went last year, we can't control that. We can only focus on the future. So I think this is going to be a great year for both of us. And how hard we've been working, I think we're more than prepared for it.
I think it's been sort of a good sort of transition we've had over the last 5 months. Me and Rome have been, we're the seniors, so it's sort of stepping into that leadership role along with Darius, sort of mentoring these young kids. I think that, we've put in a lot of work every day, and we've sort of had that chip on our shoulder knowing that people are going to come for us, but, we want it more. So.
And Roger, at Valley Media Day, you're bringing your established players here, and you've brought Isaiah. Speak to how important he is to you and what it meant to say, hey, come with us to Media Day today.
From a player, he's really good, and I think he's going to have a huge role. I love the fact he's from Bolingbrook, and that's kind of where I'm from. And I think that means a lot to me. But then also, he's won. And one thing I talked about with my staff, we have a staff that has won a lot. We've been in national championships, Final Fours. There's multiple, I think 4 on our staff. So, he won a championship at Logan. So he has a winning pedigree. I think that's important. That's important for this team. But I want to speak to these guys, these 3 that stuck with me. The love I have for them is really strong. And I coach these guys hard. And I push them because I want them to experience winning. I've won. I've been a part of teams that have been really special. And it's crazy to think about it, but I've been in college athletics for 16 years. I have 14 championship rings, 3 different places. So I know what winning looks like. I know what winning feels like. But the thing that motivates me more than anything is to be able to help these guys experience it. They deserve it. So I'm fired up that I think we're going to be able to do something special, but every game we win is for these guys so they can experience what winning feels like. So I'm fired up because they believe in me, I believe in them, and it's more than just basketball. I want these guys to have some success. They deserve it.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. That will be the final question. This concludes the Valparaiso interview session.